I'm living proof that Asperger's can be healed, but when you don't know what you don't know, you can't move forward. Stay tuned to hear a foundational big picture of what we're going to be covering in the next 7 episodes. Hi, I'm Steve.
And I'm Lib.
And together, we're Lib and Steve.
You know, being stuck is a big deal. When you don't know what you don't know, you can't change the way you think. And I mean thinking so differently that you actually act differently. I was stuck for a lot of years until someone told me I didn't have to live the way I was living. This created a healthy wrestle. I had to really think about how I thought.
When all you do is all you know, you continue to get what you've always got. Then you don't know what to do anymore, and pretty soon there's a big L on your forehead.
The Asperger culture creates a pickling brine that affects everyone within its sphere. The person with Asperger's, their spouse, child, sibling, or parent, especially when there is no diagnosis. We will dedicate an episode later as to why we are advocates of diagnosis.
The Asperger culture has similarities to living in an alcoholic home. Even though specific details might be different, the culture in an alcoholic home is its culture. Similarly, the culture of an Asperger home, even for the neurotypicals who don't have Asperger's, becomes for them like they themselves have Asperger's.
It has been confirmed through experts in psychology that if any change in the Asperger culture is to occur, it's going to be through a courageous neurotypical within the Asperger culture, stepping forward with the courage of Esther, a beautiful story in the Bible.
It totally stinks for the non-Asperger neurotypical spouse that their Aspie partner does not see, get, or understand the dysfunction and chaos that Asperger's is causing.
A lot of people are familiar with the term gaslighting. This refers to a person who tries to verbalize a reality, but they are always told, it's all in your head. You're going crazy. It's not really happening. This is what happens to a neurotypical wife of an Asperger husband. It is known as Cassandra phenomenon. This is based on the Greek mythological character Cassandra, who had the superpower of seeing the future, but the curse of never being believed. Validating Cassandra's reality is one of the greatest steps towards her journey of deciding, I don't have to live this way anymore.
Before I knew I had Asperger's, I had no idea what Libby was talking about and the concerns that she was bringing. After diagnosis, I read a book called Alone Together, written by a wife whose husband had Asperger's. I couldn't believe what kind of a jerk the husband was. I would take the book to Lib and say, man, this guy was a jerk. Did you experience this from me? And Libby would say, all that and more. I was horrified.
Why are we huge advocates of getting a diagnosis? Previously, I was never one to give labels to people, believing that it can define them for the rest of their life. But now, I know that naming something empowers you to later remove the label. Knowledge is empowerment. Until you know exactly what you're dealing with, you cannot face the reality that you don't have to live this way. Once we named Asperger's, we were able to consider asking the question, could Asperger's be healed?
The very first time Libby and I had a conversation about Asperger's, she gave me a book called A Very Late Diagnosis of Asperger's, written by a 52-year-old man. Oddly, I was 52 years old when I got the book, and he looked similar to me. He talked about how important it was to get a diagnosis, how freeing it was, how all of a sudden all the chaos and confusion in his life suddenly made sense. That's what I experienced. And as our story goes on, you'll see the importance of seeing it, naming it, understanding it, and presenting it to Jesus to be healed. Having the label, being diagnosed with Asperger's, was truly helpful to realize that I just wasn't a big arrogant jerk. My brain was actually psychologically, physiologically different, impacting and preventing healthy relationships from occurring.
The neuropsychologist who did the diagnosis for Steve also was able to offer family therapy for families affected by Asperger's. I am so grateful that this happened this way because I don't know if I would have known to actively pursue therapy otherwise. It was a lot of hard work, hard on me, the neurotypical spouse, because I felt like I was already overfunctioning to begin with, yet in therapy I had to carry a lot of the weight of making sure I learned how to dance differently to constantly bring a different reality to the Aspies in my life. Turned out to be a hugely impactful and helpful experience.
Between diagnosis and healing was therapy. This was very important and helped me to begin to understand how it was showing up and how Libby was experiencing me, and then develop different patterns and different mindsets so the Asperger's wouldn't be so obvious.
One of the most profound understandings that came into my life was from Matthew 6:10, which says, "On earth as it is in heaven." Jesus literally invites us to bring heaven down here to earth. What? As I began to consider the impact of what he was saying, my hope began to expand.
Reading Bill Johnson's book, God is Good, made me realize that there will be no Asperger's in heaven. Because of that, there should be no Asperger's here on earth. This gave me the courage to cry out to Jesus to heal me, because the chaos caused by this curse could not continue any longer.
So until we meet again, I want to challenge you to ask yourself, where am I in this process? Whether you yourself have Asperger's or you live with the effects of Asperger's, when you don't know what you don't know, you can't change the way you think. Are you willing to change the way you think? Wherever you're at, hope is on the way.
And remember, our breakthrough makes way for your breakthrough. Please like us and hit the subscribe button and tune in weekly for our new video.